Welcome to a heartwarming journey of love, culture, tradition and religion. In the heart of Gashugu, a secluded Kikuyu village, hidden beneath the shadow of Mount Kenya, we explore the forbidden love between Njoki, a daughter of the village chief, and a white missionary called Miller, who arrives to spread Christianity in the village, but is immersed in her beauty that he forgets his mission. Let's embark on this Pixar-inspired animated journey. Before love blossomed, there was confusion, suspicion, and a very dramatic entrance. Our story begins with Miller's unexpected arrival in the secluded Kikuyu village. Miller wasn't just any traveler, a missionary with a grand mission, but little knowledge of the local customs. He ventured deep into the Kikuyu heartland on an old bicycle, wobbling as he pedals furiously toward the village. His clothes are wrinkled, and his hat is muddy and dusty. His face is covered in sweat and dust, but he's determined, glancing at an old faded map. The villagers, going about their daily lives, had no idea they were about to witness the strangest arrival ever. The peaceful Kikuyu village bustles with activity. Women are grinding maize, others carrying firewood and water pots on their heads. Children are playing, and elders sit under the shade of the mugumo tree, discussing the affairs of the village. Suddenly, Miller's bicycle comes into view. It's a wobbly comical sight, as he loses control and crashes into a nearby banana tree. Bananas rain down on him as he stumbles out from under the pile, dazed but trying to regain his dignity. The villagers didn't quite know what to make of this strange, dusty white man who crashed into their banana tree. They weren't sure if he was a blessing, a curse, or just plain lost. Little did Miller know that the crash was the beginning of a series of terrifying events for him in a village called Gashugu.
Who is this white man? Why is he riding a strange animal? Where has he come from, and did the gods send him?
Miller stands up, awkwardly dusting himself off as he looks around, surrounded by curious villagers. He tries to smile, but the children giggle louder, and the elders eye him suspiciously. One elderly woman waves a broom at him, muttering about strangers bringing trouble.
Hello, Morthany. What? I am coming in peace. I'm here to spread God's word according to the gospel. Who is in charge, please?
What is he saying? Did he just call us sheep? Is he a spy and up to no good?
As the murmurs of suspicion spread, Chief Mugoi arrived, towering over Miller with his very intimidating warriors. Miller nervously clutches his Bible, unsure if he's about to be blessed or banished.
Who are you, a strange white man? Why do you come to my village, and what is your mission here about? And what is this you are holding?
My name is Miller. I'm here to share the good news. I mean, not my news, but God's news according to the holy book you are holding.
Kof Mugo stands tall in his traditional Kikuyu robe, his beaded staff in hand. Miller, still disheveled from the banana incident, tries to compose himself. The villagers stand in a wide circle, watching intently, some suspicious, others just amused.
I have come to give milk from this book.
He's giving milk from a book? What a strange, funny-looking cow-called book. Is he lost, or is this some new gospel we don't know about?
Miller's well-intentioned but horribly broken Kikuyu leads to a hilarious misunderstanding. Oblivious to his mistake, proudly holds up his Bible, thinking he has made a good impression. The villagers laugh even harder. One elder wipes a tear from her eye, pointing at Mila's dusty clothes, and says, "He looks like he fought a cow and got no milk." Though still suspicious, the villagers can't help but laugh at this strange man. Chief Mugo, deciding the strange white man is funnier than threatening, begrudgingly allows him to stay.
Fine, you can stay. But if you bring more bananas down on us, you will have to answer to the Council of Elders.
Chief Mugo gives Miller a final stern look before turning away. While the villagers disperse, still chuckling, Miller stands awkwardly in the middle of the village, scratching his head, clearly relieved but still unsure what just happened. Even the village dogs look at him suspiciously. As Miller tries to settle in, the village children run around playfully imitating his arrival. Riding an invisible bicycle and pretending to crash into trees, Miller, blushing but smiling, knows he has his work cut out for him, finally beginning to feel a little more welcome. This strange but hilarious beginning would soon lead Miller to something he never expected. A love that would challenge his endurance and very traumatizing and dramatic experiences in the village, called Gashugu. After surviving the banana incident, Miller decides to explore the village and maybe, just maybe, spread his message. But little does he know that fate, or perhaps trouble, awaits him by the river. As he walks towards the river, enjoying the beautiful, tranquil setting of the village, in a distance, Nyoki is seen collecting water by the river, setting up their fateful meeting. Miller stands a little distance away, his eyes fixed on Nyoki as she kneels by the river to fill her pot. He clumsily attempts to stand straighter, adjust his clothes and fix his hat, but it all just makes him look more flustered.
Wow. She is beautiful, just incredible. She looks like an angel.
But Miller isn't the only one with eyes by the river. A group of older Kikuyu women nearby catches sight of him, and immediately their suspicion rises.
What is that white man doing there, staring at Njoki? Does he think he can just come here and take one of ours? We will not have it. Let's teach him a lesson.
Before Miller knows it, the women march towards him, their arms crossed and brows furrowed. They're on a mission, and Miller is about to find out exactly what that mission is. Their faces are stern and their steps are determined. Miller, oblivious to the danger, is still awkwardly fixing his hat and clothes, trying to look more presentable for Njoki. It's only when he hears their loud cries, sounds of war, and sees the determined look in their eyes. That's when Miller realizes he's in trouble, very big and serious trouble.
Oh my God. This doesn't look good. What have Elle done now?
Miller's eyes widen as he sees the group of women closing in on him, their hands on their hips, scowling. His nervous smile fades quickly and he takes a hesitant step backward. The women mutter loudly in Kikuyu, clearly upset. And just like that, the chase begins. Miller, now realizing that he's been mistaken for a thief or worse, bolts for his life as the women charge after him with sticks and wet laundry, shouting and yelling sounds of war in Kikuyu.
Who are you? Crazy white man. Leave our girls alone.
The women, armed with wooden sticks and dripping laundry, charge at Miller, who stumbles backward in shock before turning and running. The scene is chaotic and hilarious as Miller frantically dodges water pots and leaps over rocks, while the women shout and swing wet laundry at him. Nyoki, holding her water pot, watches the chase unfold. Her eyes light up with amusement and she starts laughing uncontrollably. Miller, now covered in dust, is frantically trying to avoid the women who are still after him. The entire scene is chaotic but comical, with Miller's clumsiness making it even funnier. Just when it seems like things can't get worse for Miller, The women corner him at the riverbank, ready to toss him in. But Nyoki steps in just in time.
He's not a thief. He's harmless. Let him go before he floats away. And you, next time, run faster.
Nyoki, still giggling, steps between Miller and the women. She waves them off playfully, her laughter contagious. Miller, still panting and wide-eyed, looks at her with a mix of gratitude and embarrassment. The women, now laughing as well, lower their sticks and wet laundry, shaking their heads. So the missionary man of God narrowly avoids being tossed into the river, thanks to Njoki's timely intervention. But the look on his face says it all. Maybe he should have stuck to bicycles and bananas. Nyoki walks away, still laughing, while the older women disperse, amused but satisfied that they've taught him a lesson. Miller looks up beyond the sky, shaking his head, clearly wondering how he ended up in this embarrassing situation.
Why God? Why me? I just came to spread the gospel, not get chased by women with wet laundry. Dear Heavenly Father, please forgive them. And thank you for saving my soul. Amen.
As Miller catches his breath, thinking the worst is behind him, little does he know that his day is about to take an even more terrifying turn. The young warriors of the village are on their way, having heard the women's war cries. Suddenly, from nowhere, the warriors surround Miller in a flash. His day indeed just got worse. Miller, completely unaware of what's happening, looks up to find himself surrounded by towering warriors. His heart sinks and he realizes that things have indeed gotten much, much worse.
White man, what were you doing with the women at the river? Did you think you could sneak around unnoticed?
Wait. This isn't what it looks like. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I didn't mean to go to the river. I swear, I wasn't staring.
Miller's eyes widen in fear as the warriors close in. He scrambles to stand up, but his legs are shaking so much that he stumbles back down to the ground. The warriors glare at him, their spears pointed toward him. Miller raises his hands in a desperate attempt to explain himself, but his words come out in a panicked jumble. But words are not enough to save Miller. Without warning, two warriors grab him by the ankles, lifting him off the ground like a sack of grain. His arms flail as he's dangled upside down, his head inches from the dusty ground.
No, wait. Please, oh my God, I'm innocent. Please. I swear I was just admiring the river.
The warriors, unamused by his pleas, march him toward the village, carrying him like a captured animal. Miller's face shows sheer terror as he realizes he's being taken to Chief Mugo and the village council elders. The warriors waste no time. They carry Miller all the way back to the village, where Chief Mugo and elders are waiting. Still dangling upside down, he feels the blood rush to his head as he's thrown onto the ground, face first, in front of the chief.
We found this white man by the river eyeing the women. What should we do with him? White man, you again?
Your Excellency. Sir. Chief. I didn't mean to. I wasn't trying to cause trouble. I swear. I just got lost. Yes, very lost.
You say you were lost. But why were you by the river where our women gather?
Miller, still lying on his stomach, tilts his head up to look at Chief Mugo, his face a mixture of fear and desperation. The chief's eyes are calm but sharp, and the elders murmur among themselves as they study Miller's every move. The tension in the air is thick, and Miller's heart races as he realizes how serious the situation is. The elders, suspicious of Miller's intentions, lean in to discuss among themselves. Their low voices fill the air with an ominous tone as Miller's fate hangs in the balance.
He's a stranger. Can we trust him? He was near our women. Perhaps he was spying on them. Outsiders bring trouble. We cannot take this lightly.
After a long moment of silence, Chief Mugo raises his hand, signaling the elders and warriors to stop. His calm but authoritative voice cuts through the tension as everyone waits for his judgment.
White man, you are a stranger in our land. Strangers must respect our ways. But before we make any decisions, you will have the chance to speak. What were you doing at the river all alone?
Miller, still flat on his stomach and covered in dust, tries to summon every ounce of courage to explain himself. But his fear of the warriors and their spears keeps him shaking as he speaks.
I swear, Chief, I wasn't spying. I was just admiring the river. Yes, the river. It's very beautiful. And the women. I mean, not in that way, but I was lost. Yes, lost. I didn't mean any harm.
Miller, still face down in the dirt, lifts his head just enough to plead with the chief. His face is dirty, his hair a mess, and his eyes wide with fear. He glances nervously at the warriors standing nearby, still gripping their spears. His words tumble out in a mix of desperation and panic, only adding to the absurdity of the situation. Though Miller has made his case, the chief and elders remain unconvinced. Will they believe the strange white man, or will the warriors have the final say, just as the chief and elders deliberate over Miller's fate? Nyoki, the chief's daughter, steps forward. Her heart is pounding, but she knows she must act fast before things get worse.
Father, elders of the council, may I speak, please?
The warriors part to let her through, recognizing her as the chief's daughter. Nyoki, knowing the seriousness of the situation, pleads with the chief and elders for leniency, sensing that Miller is no threat. Her words are filled with both wisdom and compassion.
This white man may have acted foolishly, but I do not believe he meant any harm. Look at him, Father. He's already frightened enough. Let me tend to his injuries and speak with him. Perhaps he can explain his behavior better with a clearer mind.
Very well, Njoki. You may take him. But we expect answers when he regains his strength. Immediately.
With a wave of Chief Mugo's hand, the warriors step back away from the white man. Still dazed and confused, Miller watches in disbelief as Nyoki approaches him, her beauty and calm presence striking him once again. Later, inside Nyoki's mud hut, the atmosphere is quieter. The flickering light of a small fire dances across the walls, casting shadows as Nyoki carefully tends to Miller's minor injuries. However, the calm outside contrasts with the storm brewing inside Miller's mind. But Njoki is not one to ignore Miller's strange behavior. As he regains his energy, her eyes narrow slightly. She wants answers.
Now, tell me, white man, why were you spying on us at the river? Do you not know how dangerous that was? You are lucky the warriors did not throw you into the river. And do you even have a name?
But Miller, still overwhelmed by Nyoki's beauty and the day's events, finds himself completely tongue-tied. Instead of answering her question, his brain decides to take a detour, leaving him babbling nonsense.
Well, you see, I wasn't really. I mean, I was there, but not for Well, it's a long story, really. The river was just, the water. Yes, the water. It was very wet. Yes, very wet.
Nyoki, hearing Miller's nonsensical ramblings, raises an eyebrow. A smile tugs at the corner of her lips. She can't help but find his awkwardness amusing.
The water was wet? Is that the best you can come up with? Where you come from, are the rivers not wet? You are lucky you are a terrible liar.
In a last-ditch effort to explain himself, Miller blurts out the one thing that's been on his mind all day. Yes, Nyoki's beauty.
You are beautiful. I've never seen anyone like you. Your hair, your eyes, your smile, your walk, everything. That's what I meant to say, before. I wasn't staring at the women, I was just, you alone.
Nyoki is taken aback by Miller's sudden compliment. She wasn't expecting him to be so bold, especially after everything that had just happened. For a brief moment, she is unsure how to respond.
Is that according to your gospel? And I still don't even know your name. Very strange white man.
It is now 8 p.m. at night, and Njoki's expression shifts from amused to thoughtful. As she processes Miller's compliment, the firelight flickers gently in the background, casting warm shadows across her face. She looks at him curiously, her eyes softening as she realizes that his words, though clumsy, are sincere. Though Miller's words are far from perfect, they have started something new. Nyoki begins to see the man behind the awkwardness, and for the first time, there is a hint of understanding between them. As the fire crackles softly, Nyoki's curiosity gets the better of her. She has heard whispers about the foreign god the white man follows, and she wonders if this god is the reason he ended up by the river. Tell me, white man, did your god send you to spy on me? What does this god of yours want with my village? Me in particular? Miller, captivated by her beauty and sharp mind, tries to find the right words. He wants to explain his faith, but right now, all he can think about is her.
No, Njoki. First of all, my name is Miller. My God didn't send me to spy on you. He sent me here to spread his gospel, but other than that, I feel like I'm being drawn to something, to someone. I didn't expect to find someone like you here.
Miller's eyes soften as he looks at Njoki. His words genuine but clumsy. He's no longer thinking about his mission, all he sees is her. Nyoki smiles, feeling the sincerity behind Miller's words. She is used to men being intimidated by her, but this man, though awkward, is different.
Drawn to someone? Is that what your God does then? Sends you to distant lands to find someone?
Nyoki's smile is playful, but her eyes reveal a deeper understanding. She tilts her head slightly, teasing Miller, but also curious about what his heart is truly saying. In that moment, something changes between them. What started as suspicion has turned into a quiet understanding, and perhaps something more. Just as the moment between Miller and Nyoki grows warm, the peace is abruptly shattered by a loud crash. Without warning, the door to the mud hut swings open, and the same two warriors who had carried Miller by his ankles earlier burst in, their faces stern and unforgiving.
Time's up, white man. You are coming with us. The chief says you sleep with the little boys tonight.
The two tall, muscular warriors escort Miller out at once before he could protest. Njoki tries to stifle a laugh as they drag him out. He avoids eye contact with the two warriors. Miller stumbles as the warriors frog march him through the village, his feet so weak almost giving in. The villagers look on in confusion, some laughing, others shaking their heads.
Wait, I'm a man of God. I don't sleep on the ground with children.
Then ask your God to send you a bed.
The villagers look on amused as Miller is taken to a small hut on the outskirts where the young village boys sleep. He's unceremoniously shoved inside, landing on the straw-covered floor with a thud.
Clearly, those two don't like me. I wonder why?
The next morning, determined to make up for his embarrassing ordeal, Miller stands under a large baobab tree, addressing a group of curious village boys and girls. They stand attentively looking at Miller enthusiastically speaks about his faith, trying to capture their attention.
And so, children, God loves all of us. He sent me here to share His word, and also He teaches us patience and forgiveness.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, a mischievous little monkey swoops down from the tree branches above. Before Miller can react, the monkey snatches his hat right off his head and scampers up the tree, its tail wagging as it perches at the very top, wearing the hat triumphantly.
Hey monkey, that's my hat.
The children's eyes widen in surprise, then burst into laughter. Determined to get his hat back, Miller takes off after the monkey, running in circles around the tree. He attempts to jump up to grab the branches, but his feet slip on the ground. The villagers, drawn by the commotion, gather around to watch, their laughter echoing through the village.
Give that back, monkey. It's a holy hat.
Miller runs around the base of the tree, waving his arms in the air, while the monkey watches from above, clearly enjoying the game. After several failed attempts to climb, Miller makes one final heroic leap for the lowest branch. But just as he grabs hold, his grip slips and he tumbles backward, landing flat on his back in a cloud of dust. The entire village erupts into uncontrollable laughter.
Oh my God. Not another day of embarrassment and acting the fool. What on earth is happening? As
Miller lies in the dirt, the entire village gathers, laughing and clapping at the spectacle. Even Chief Mugo, watching from afar, cracks a rare smile. Njoki, standing at the edge of the crowd, shakes her head, laughing softly.
It seems the white man has met his match in a monkey.
Though the day had started with a simple sermon, it ended in laughter and joy. For the first time, the village truly welcomed Miller, not because of his words, but because of his humanity. Seeing Miller's endless struggle with the mischievous monkey, Njoki decides to step in once again. With a knowing smile, she grabs a ripe banana from a nearby basket and approaches the tree, offering it to the cheeky little creature.
Come now, little one, let's make a trade. A banana for the preacher's hat.
Njoki stands gracefully beneath the tree, holding up the banana as the monkey eyes it curiously. The monkey's twitching nose as it quickly scurries down the tree trunk, snatching the banana from Njoki's hand in exchange for the hat. The crowd watches in amused silence, chuckling as the monkey takes off with its treat. Njoki hands the dusty, crumpled hat back to Miller, her eyes twinkling with amusement. She raises an eyebrow, her lips curving into a smile as she questions his true calling.
So, are you a preacher or a comedian? I'm starting to wonder if your God sent you here to make us laugh.
At this point, even I don't know.
Njoki hands over the hat, still slightly wrinkled, to Miller as he sits on the ground, dusting himself off. Miller's face has a tired, half-hearted smile in response, clearly feeling the weight of the day's absurdities. The village chuckles softly in the background as they watch the interaction. Exhausted and utterly humiliated, Miller finally reaches his breaking point. Rising to his feet, he throws his hands up to the sky and begins to shout, his voice echoing through the village. The villagers look on, some bewildered, others holding back laughter as Miller vents his frustrations.
Why, God? Why did you send me here to suffer? To be mocked by monkeys, chased by women with wet laundry, and humiliated by warriors. Is this a test of faith or just some cosmic joke? I came here to preach, not to be turned into the village clown.
Miller, standing in the middle of the village, arms raised dramatically, shouting his grievances to the sky. The villagers, confused and amused, gather in small groups, whispering and giggling as they watch him unravel. As if the day couldn't get any worse for Miller, a group of village dogs, agitated by his loud wails, suddenly perk up. The dogs start barking furiously, circling around him, and without warning, they give chase. The once proud preacher finds himself running for his life, pursued by barking dogs through the dusty village streets.
Oh no. Not the dogs. Someone call them off. This is not what I signed up for.
The dogs chase after Miller, barking wildly as he dashes between huts and around fires. Dust kicks up around his feet, and the villagers burst into laughter, watching the scene unfold. The entire village is in stitches. From the elders to the children, everyone is doubled over in laughter as Miller runs in circles, dogs snapping at his heels. Even Chief Mugo, who rarely cracks a smile, finds himself chuckling at the scene.
Look at him run. Faster than a gazelle.
Chief Mugo wipes a tear from his eye as even he can't help but chuckle. Nyoki, standing with her arms crossed, shaking her head but smiling warmly at Miller's predicament, calls the dogs off with a loud whistle, but it's too late. Just when it seems the day couldn't get any worse for Miller, his foot catches on a root, sending him sprawling into the dirt once again. The dogs, satisfied with their chase, stop barking and wander off, leaving Miller face down in the dust, utterly defeated.
Why, Lord? Why do the dogs hate me too?
Miller lay face first in the dirt, arms spread out as the dogs lose interest and wander away. Dust settles around him as the villagers' laughter continues, creating a sharp contrast between Miller's pitiful state and the joy of the villagers. Though Miller came to preach, it seemed that today he was the lesson, a lesson in humility, in laughter, and in the unpredictable nature of life. And as the villagers laughed, even Miller couldn't help but smile, despite everything. Miller slowly rolls over onto his back, staring up at the sky with a tired, exasperated expression. In the distance, Njoki watches with a smile, amused but also impressed by his resilience. The villagers continue laughing, their spirits lifted by the absurdity of the day. Just when Miller thought his day couldn't possibly get worse, he suddenly feels a strange tingling sensation crawling up his legs. Unbeknownst to him, he has landed right on top of a colony of aggressive soldier ants.
Ouch. What now? Is this punishment from above? Ouch. Wait, what's going on? Ouch.
Miller lies on his back, oblivious to the fact that hundreds of soldier ants are swarming over his legs and into his clothes. He quickly realizes something is wrong, his face contorting in discomfort before panic sets in. Suddenly he leaps to his feet, his arms flailing wildly. He hops around in a frenzied dance, trying desperately to shake off the biting ants. The villagers, still recovering from their previous laughter, now watch in bewilderment as Miller's antics reach a new level of absurdity.
Ouch, ouch. They are everywhere. Get them off, please. Get them off. Oh my lord, ouch.
Miller jumps up and down, swatting at his clothes as ants crawl into his shirt and up his pants. His face is a mixture of horror and sheer panic. The villagers look on, unsure of what's happening, with a few stifling giggles as Miller's hopping becomes more desperate. The villagers, completely baffled by Miller's sudden outburst, exchange puzzled glances. They whisper among themselves, trying to figure out if this is part of another bizarre sermon or if the white man has officially lost his mind.
What is he doing now?
Maybe his God told him to do a wild dance.
A crowd of villagers, their faces a mix of confusion and amusement as they watch Miller's frenzied ant-bitten dance. Some villagers shrug while others start laughing again, convinced that Miller's misfortune is never ending. And just when you think things couldn't get any funnier, here comes the village drunk called Kimani stumbling down the path. His clothes are rumpled and he's already swaying, a half-empty gourd of homemade brew sloshing in his hand. Oblivious to what's happening, he sees Miller hopping around like a madman and assumes the party has started without him.
Aye. What's going on here, Where's the party at? Nobody told me there was dancing.
The village drunk Kimani stumbles into the scene, his eyes half-lidded and a broad grin on his face. He takes a long swig from his gourd, squinting at Miller, who's still jumping and swatting at invisible ants. The drunk waves his arms, mimicking Miller's frantic movements, thinking it's all part of some strange celebration. Miller, still consumed by the agony of the ants, continues to flail around, slapping his legs and yelling. The village drunk, now fully convinced that this is the party of the year, joins in with his own stumbling dance, much to the villagers' delight. The entire village erupts in laughter, and even the dogs bark in excitement.
Ouch, why is this happening? Why me? Ouch.
Aye. Keep it up, white man. This is the best party ever.
Miller's frantic movements as he tries to rid himself of the ants. The village drunk, who clumsily mirrors his movements, believes the white man is dancing. The villagers are now laughing uncontrollably, some holding their sides, others wiping tears from their eyes. The sight of Miller hopping around with the village drunk dancing beside him is too much for the villagers to handle. Some fall to the ground, laughing so hard they can't breathe. Even the elders and warriors, known for their stern faces, chuckle at the chaotic spectacle.
This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. The ants are teaching him more than his God ever could.
People laughing hysterically, some doubling over, others leaning on each other for support as they watch Miller and the drunk. The drunk Kimani still dancing with his gourd raised in the air, completely oblivious to Miller's actual suffering. Finally, after what feels like an eternity of dancing, jumping and swatting, Miller collapses to the ground, utterly exhausted and still covered in ants. He rolls around in the dirt, trying to shake off the last of the biting insects, while the villagers continue to laugh. The village drunk Kimani raises his gourd in a toast, convinced they've just shared the dance of a lifetime.
Ouch, I give up. God, help me. Ouch.
Aye. Well, to the best dance ever. Let's do this again tomorrow. Aye.
Miller, lying on his back once again, panting and staring up at the sky as he brushes off the last few ants. The village drunk stumbles off, still dancing and mumbling happily to himself. The villagers' laughter echoes as the scene fades, leaving Miller in a heap of dust and defeat. Though Miller came to the village to preach, it seemed fate had other plans. From warrior chases to monkey mishaps and now soldier ants, the white man had truly earned his place as the village's unintentional entertainer. And while the villagers laughed, Miller could only wonder what else could possibly go wrong. As Miller lay on the ground, his body still tingling from the bites of the soldier ants, he found himself deep in thought. He looked up at the sky, questioning not only his purpose, but also the nature of his growing feelings for Nyoki. Was his love for her a test from God, or a forbidden venture destined for failure?
Is this what I'm meant to face for loving Njoki? Is our love a forbidden path? Have I been sent here to fail, to be humiliated, just for daring to love someone so extraordinary?
Miller's face shows his troubled expression as he stares up at the sky, reflecting a mix of pain, confusion, and contemplation. Just as his doubts reached their peak, Nyoki arrived on the scene. Her presence as calming as a gentle breeze. She had been observing from afar, and now, with a mixture of concern and resolve, she approached Miller to offer her help once more.
Miller, what's this talk of forbidden love? And why are you lying here, covered in dust and ant bites? Let me help you.
Nyoki kneels beside Miller, her graceful movements contrasting sharply with his disheveled state. She starts gently brushing off the remaining ants and inspecting his ant bites. Villagers watching from a distance quiet down, their laughter replaced by curious murmurs. As Nyoki carefully removes the last of the ants and applies a soothing poultice to Miller's bites, she listens to his heartfelt questions about their forbidden love. Her touch is gentle, her gaze compassionate as she responds to his concerns.
Njoki, why does it feel like every step I take toward you is met with such resistance? Is our love truly forbidden? Am I doomed to face endless trials for wanting to be with you?
Miller, love is never simple, especially when it crosses boundaries and traditions. But that doesn't mean it's doomed. Sometimes, the trials we face are just part of the journey. And sometimes, we must fight for what we believe in, even if it seems impossible.
Nyoki's soothing words and gentle care gave Miller a renewed sense of hope. As she finished attending to his wounds, he felt a surge of determination. If their love was to be tested, then he would face those challenges head-on, guided by Nyoki's strength and his own resolve.
Thank you, Njoki. Your kindness has given me the strength to face whatever comes next. If our love is to be tested, then I'll stand firm and face it with you by my side.
We will face it together, Miller. Love, after all, is worth any trial.
In the face of adversity, Miller and Njoki found strength in each other. With Nyoki's unwavering support and Miller's renewed determination, they prepared to confront whatever challenges lay ahead, their love becoming the beacon of hope that guided them through the storm. Just as Miller tries to regain his composure and stand up, a new calamity strikes. The village madwoman Wanya, known for her unpredictable behavior, comes charging toward him with a wild look in her eyes. Unseen by Miller, she screams out, "My husband!" and leaps onto him with startling force.
My husband, I have found you at last. Come here. Come to Mama.
Miller, already exhausted and disoriented, is now entangled with the madwoman Wanya. They roll across the ground in a chaotic struggle, with Miller trying desperately to push her away while the mad woman clings to him, her embrace surprisingly tight.
No. Oh my God, get off. It's not me. I have no wife, get off, let me go.
Miller's face a mixture of horror and frustration as he tries to peel her off. Wanya, the madwoman, hugs him tightly, trying to plant kisses on his face. Dust and dirt fly around them as they tumble, creating a chaotic and humorous spectacle. Nyoki, witnessing the unfolding disaster, rushes to Miller's aid. Her face shows both concern and exasperation as she tries to pry the madwoman off him, but her efforts are in vain. Wanja, the mad woman, now thoroughly convinced of her new husband's affection, is unrelenting. Miller, already exhausted and disoriented, is now entangled with the mad woman, Wanya. They roll across the ground in a chaotic struggle, with Miller trying desperately to push her away while the mad woman clings to him, her embrace surprisingly tight. Nyoki struggles to separate the mad woman from Miller, her hands grasping at the mad woman's shoulders, Nyoki's face showing a mixture of helplessness and determination. Meanwhile, Miller is still wrestling with the mad woman, who has now begun singing love songs in Kikuyu. As the commotion reaches its peak, the village warriors, alerted by the noise and chaos, rush to the scene. Their stern faces reflect their concern and authority as they quickly assess the situation. With a decisive move, they pull the mad woman away from Miller, each warrior grabbing her by an arm and leg to disentangle her from the struggling preacher.
Step back. We'll handle this.
No. Let me stay with my husband. My baby. My sweetie.
Warriors surround Miller and Wanja, the mad woman, their powerful presence commanding attention. They methodically remove the mad woman from Miller, her arms flailing as they drag her away. Miller, now free, sits up looking both relieved and exhausted. Amidst the chaos, the village drunk Kimani stumbles back onto the scene. Believing the commotion to be part of another party, he eagerly joins in, excitedly waving his gourd and shouting as if the festivities have just begun again.
I knew it. The party is still going strong. Where is the music? Where are the drums?
The village drunk sways and stumbling into the scene, gourd in hand. He grins widely, again unaware of the serious nature of the situation. He starts dancing and singing loudly, adding to the overall absurdity of the moment. The villagers look on, both bewildered and amused by his misguided enthusiasm. The village is in uproar. The villagers, still processing the madness of the situation, can't help but laugh at the drunk's misguided celebration. Even the warriors, though serious, have to suppress smiles at the bizarre turn of events.
This day has been full of surprises. The white man's adventures just keep getting better.
The villagers laughing heartily, the warriors shaking their heads in disbelief, and the drunk dancing in the middle of the chaos. Nyoki, now standing beside Miller, tries to regain her composure, her face a mix of frustration and amusement as she watches the scene unfold. As the village slowly settles down from the chaos, Miller, exhausted and covered in dust and dirt, sits on the ground, trying to make sense of the madness. He looks up at Njoki with a resigned smile, finally accepting that his journey is anything but ordinary.
Well, Njoki, it seems the gods have a twisted sense of humor. But at least we've faced it together.
Indeed, Miller. No matter what comes next, we'll face it as a team.
In the midst of chaos and confusion, Miller and Nyoki's connection grew stronger. Despite the day's absurd trials and tribulations, they faced each challenge with courage and a sense of humor, their bond becoming the beacon of hope and resilience in a world full of unpredictability. As the sun set, the village erupted in celebration. The chief ordered a bull to be slaughtered. The night was filled with the sounds of laughter, music, and dance. The villagers, still buzzing from the day's chaos, came together for a grand feast and festivities that would last through the night. The village square bustles with activity. The bull is being roasted over a large fire, while villagers dance around it. Traditional Kikuyu drums beat rhythmically, and colorful decorations adorn the area. The festive atmosphere is lively and full of energy, with everyone enjoying the celebration. Amidst the revelry, a new challenge emerges. A 14-year-old village boy, eager to prove himself as a future warrior, steps forward to challenge Miller to a wrestling match. The boy, with eyes full of determination, sees this as his chance to demonstrate his strength and skill.
I will show you my strength, white man. I want to be a warrior, and this is my chance to prove myself.
The village boy stands with a fierce look of determination. Miller, looking both nervous and amused, prepares to face the challenge, thinking it's a friendly match just to entertain the villagers. The villagers gather around, forming a circle to watch the match. The match begins, and it quickly becomes clear that Miller is in over his head. Despite his best efforts, the young warrior manages to throw him to the ground repeatedly. Each time Miller is smacked down, he clings to Njoki, who is watching with a mix of concern and amusement.
Oh Jesus! I didn't expect this to be so challenging.
I will not go easy on you, white man. I must be strong.
Miller is tossed and turned by the boy, each fall more dramatic than the last. He finds himself repeatedly slammed to the ground. Njoki, unable to watch any longer, steps in. With a swift, powerful slap, she sends the young warrior flying, knocking him out cold from the sheer force of the hit. The entire village suddenly goes quiet at the unexpected turn of events.
Enough. This is not how we treat our guest.
The village was dead quiet for a few minutes. The boy wakes up dazed, asking, "What happened?" Slowly, the village erupts with laughter and applause at Njoki's unexpected intervention. The festive mood is lifted even higher as the villagers celebrate the end of the wrestling match. Miller, still on his knees, looks up at Njoki with a grateful and somewhat embarrassed smile.
Thank you, Njoki. I don't think I could have survived another round.
You should have known better than to challenge a Kikuyu warrior, even a young one.
With the wrestling match concluded and the village boy recovering, the festivities continue unabated. The night is filled with music, dancing, and merriment as the villagers celebrate the day's events and the arrival of new bonds and friendships. As the night progresses, the village finds unity and joy in their shared celebration. Through laughter, dance, and unexpected adventures, Miller and Njoki join in as the bond grows stronger and the village embraces the promise of a new beginning. The following morning, Miller is summoned before Chief Mugo and the elders of the village. Their stern faces reveal the gravity of the situation. The chief, with a commanding presence, addresses Miller about the closeness he's developed with Njoki and the requirements that must be met for their relationship to continue.
Miller, your bond with Njoki has not gone unnoticed. If you wish to continue this relationship, you must prove yourself to the village. You will go into the forest with some warriors and return with a wild pig. This will be a sacrifice to our Kikuyu god, seeking favor for rain and to initiate you into our community.
I accept the challenge, Chief. I will do whatever it takes to prove my commitment and win the approval of your people.
With the warriors guiding him, Miller ventures into the forest, but questioning himself why he accepted the task. Is it the devil's influence or just his foolishness? The dense foliage and underbrush creating a challenging terrain. After hours of tracking, he finally manages to trap a wild piglet. However, the chase is far from over. After several attempts, Miller catches the wild piglet, his face a mix of exhaustion and satisfaction. He carefully ties it up, preparing to return to the village with the warriors not in sight. The forest is dense, and the sounds of wildlife create a tense atmosphere.
I've got it. Now to get back to the village.
As Miller makes his way back to the village, he is suddenly confronted by the enraged mother pig. With a powerful charge, she begins to chase him through the forest. Miller, weighed down by the piglet, struggles to evade the furious beast.
Oh no. She wants her piglet back. Sweet Jesus, this is not happening. Somebody help. Oh my God.
Miller runs frantically through the forest, the mother pig close behind. The scene is filled with fast cuts and dramatic angles, highlighting Miller's desperate attempts to escape. The forest is dense with low branches and uneven ground, adding to the challenge. In his frantic escape, Miller accidentally falls into a man-made pit, the sides of which are steep and difficult to climb. The mother pig hovers around the pit, waiting for Miller to emerge. Hours pass as Miller, trapped and exhausted, awaits the arrival of the warriors.
Somebody help. Is anyone there? I'm stuck.
Hold on, we're coming to get you.
Eventually, the warriors, alerted by Miller's shouts, arrive at the scene. With coordinated effort, they help him out of the pit, the mother pig finally retreating. Miller, dirty and exhausted, is helped back to the village carrying the piglet on his shoulder.
Thank you. I don't know how much longer I could have stayed in there.
Upon returning to the village, Miller is led to a ceremonial area where the sacrifice is to be performed. The piglet is prepared, and Miller, despite his exhaustion, must partake in the ritual. He is required to drink a portion of the pig's blood and eat a raw piece of liver as part of his initiation into the Kikuyu tribe.
Miller, you have completed the hunt. To be welcomed into our village, you must partake in this sacrificial ritual. It is a sign of your commitment and respect for our traditions.
I will do it. For the sake of love and to honor your customs. I will again accept this challenge.
Miller, looking weary but determined, stands before the elders. He drinks the blood from a ceremonial cup and then eats a raw piece of liver, his face showing a mix of revulsion and resolve. The villagers watch in solemn silence. After the ritual is completed, Miller is officially welcomed into the village. Despite the trials and the discomfort of the initiation, he is embraced by the villagers. The night ends with a celebration as Miller's bravery and commitment are acknowledged and celebrated.
Miller, you have proven your dedication and courage. You are now one of us. Welcome to the Kikuyu community.
Thank you. I am honored to be accepted into your village and to share in your traditions.
Through trials and challenges, Miller's commitment to Njoki and the Kikuyu people was tested and proven. With his acceptance into the village, a new chapter begins, filled with promise and the strength of newfound bonds. The celebration had barely ended when Miller's stomach began to churn. The unfamiliar Kikuyu food combined with the stress of the day had wreaked havoc on his digestive system. As the village boys settled down to sleep in the communal hut, Miller felt an unsettling rumble in his gut.
Oh no. This can't be good. Not now.
Miller, lying uncomfortably among the village boys in the dimly lit hut, trying to hold back what's coming, clutches his stomach as it growls ominously. Moments later, a loud and unexpected fart echoed through the quiet night, filling the room with an unbearable stench. The boys, wide-eyed, stared at each other in disbelief before bolting from the hut.
What is that smell? I can't breathe. Let's get out of here.
Miller's troubles as the fart escapes were far from over. After the boys fled, his stomach growled again, this time more violently. He had no choice but to sprint into the bushes, his face horrified, contorted in desperation. It would be a long night of repeated visits to the bushes as his stomach continued to rebel against him.
Oh no, not again. I can't take this anymore.
Each trip becomes more frantic, with Miller darting back and forth between the bushes and the hut. His exhaustion is clear, but the situation remains absurdly humorous. Just as Miller felt like he couldn't survive another trip, Gnocchi appeared, concerned yet amused. She carried a small pouch filled with traditional herbs to stop his suffering.
Mila, I heard you've been having a rough night. This should help. It's a remedy for stomach troubles passed down through generations.
Please, anything to make it stop. I've been to the bushes more times than I can count.
After taking the remedy, Miller's stomach began to settle. He let out a long sigh of relief, grateful for Gnocchi's timely intervention. The night had been embarrassing, but at least the worst was over.
Thank you, Gnocchi. You're a lifesaver.
You are welcome. But I'm not sure the boys will forgive you anytime soon. They are probably going to camp outside tonight.
Now that the worst had passed, Miller couldn't help but wonder if all men who pursued a Kikuyu woman had to endure such trials. The day's events had been a whirlwind of challenges, and he needed to know if this was part of the process.
Gnocchi, do all men who fall in love with a Kikuyu woman go through this?
Yes. Unfortunate strangers. Only foreigners, Mila.
Through the night's trials, Miller learned that love comes with challenges, some more pungent than others. But with Gnocchi by his side, even the most embarrassing moments seemed bearable. The following morning, Miller was summoned to appear before Chief Mugo and the village elders once more. His heart raced as he walked through the village, imagining what new challenge awaited him. Memories of his wild pig chase still haunted him. Before the chief could say a word, Miller, still jittery from his forest ordeal, quickly raised his hands in a plea.
Chief, please, whatever it is, just don't send me back to the forest. I'm sure that wild pig is still looking for me.
White man. What wild pig? He must be joking. Eh?
Miller kneels before the chief and elders, his face full of desperation. The chief and elders exchange confused looks, unsure if Miller is serious or just trying to avoid another task. The scene mixes humor and tension. The chief, trying to stifle his laughter, leaned forward and addressed Miller. This time they wanted something different from him. They wanted to know how the people of Miller's land prayed for rain.
Miller, tell us, how do your people pray to the gods for rain in your foreign land?
Yes, O white man. Can your God bring us rain?
The chief and elders looked genuinely curious, sitting cross-legged in front of Miller, waiting for his response, their faces a mix of curiosity and doubt. Miller gulped, unsure of how to answer, but he couldn't refuse the request of the chief. With trembling hands, he closed his eyes and began to pray aloud, hoping that God would answer in a way that wouldn't embarrass him.
Okay. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, creator of heaven and earth, the birds, the people, and the land. Please bless us with rain. Amen.
Miller stands with his eyes closed, hands clasped together as he prays. The village watches him in awe, the atmosphere growing tense as his prayer fills the air. Everyone seems to hold their breath, waiting, wondering why his eyes are closed, hands clasped together, and what happens next. The moment Miller said Amen, a deafening clap of thunder shook the ground, followed by a sudden downpour of rain mixed with hailstones. The villagers screamed in shock, and even the elders looked up in amazement as the sky darkened and the storm raged on.
What is happening? The foreigner's God has spoken.
Oh no, what did I just do? How is this possible?
As the hailstones fall, villagers scream and the wind howls. Miller stands in the middle of the chaos, his face frozen in shock as he watches the storm he seemingly called down. Lightning flashes across the sky and thunder rumbles ominously. The entire village was in shock. The chief and elders, too stunned to speak, exchanged bewildered glances as the storm raged on. Even Miller stood frozen, not knowing whether to feel relieved or terrified at the sudden response to his prayer.
Well, it seems the white man's God is powerful. This white man is a miracle performer.
Villagers running for shelter, while the elders sit under a small canopy, speechless. The storm continues to pour down, with occasional flashes of lightning. Miller's mouth still agape, trying to comprehend what just happened, looking up at the heavens, silently asking why everything in this village had to be so dramatic. But deep down, he couldn't help but feel a bit proud that his prayer had been answered so spectacularly. His expression is a mix of confusion and disbelief.
Well, I guess my Lord has felt pity on my escapades. Or that's one way to bring rain. Thank you, Jesus.
Though the villagers had expected rain sometime in the coming months, none had anticipated such a powerful and immediate response. Miller's prayer, intended to be simple, had turned into yet another unbelievable chapter in his journey through the village, called Gashugu. The rain didn't stop for 2 days straight. The village was soaked, crops were drowning, and the elders grew uneasy. The solution? Send Miller back to the forest for another sacrifice to stop the unrelenting downpour. Water drips from thatched roofs, rivers overflow, and villagers slog through mud. The elders huddle under a canopy, their faces worried, discussing Miller's new mission. Miller, sitting nearby, overhears them.
The rain won't stop. The gods are too pleased. Miller must return to the forest and offer another sacrifice to calm the storm.
Jesus, no. Another sacrifice? No. Please, I'd rather swim through this rain than face another mother wild pig.
But the elders had made up their minds, and the warriors had their orders. Miller looks horrified as the chief gives the order. The warriors grab Miller by the arms, dragging him towards the forest. Despite his desperate attempts to resist, he kicked and shouted, pleading for mercy.
No. I can't go back there. Please. I'd rather face this rain than a wild pig any day. Let me keep praying for it to stop.
You had 2 days. Now the gods demand it.
Miller was dragged through the muddy village and into the forest. He thrashes around wildly, his legs flailing as the warriors hold him up by his arms. Rain continues to pour down, making the scene both dramatic and absurd. Just as they entered the forest, a deafening crack of thunder shook the ground. Out of nowhere, a bolt of lightning struck a tree right in front of them, splitting it in half. The warriors froze, their eyes wide with fear, and Miller let out a scream so loud it echoed through the forest.
Oh no. This is a sign. Please let's go back. The gods have spoken.
The warriors, once brave and stoic, now stand frozen in shock as the tree struck by lightning with smoke rising from its split trunk. Miller, still being held, stares wide-eyed at the smoking tree, his face pale with fear. Without another word, the warriors dropped Miller and bolted back toward the village. Miller, in sheer panic, stumbled to his feet and ran after them, a warrior shouting at the top of his lungs.
Run, the gods are angry. Save yourselves. Forget the sacrifice, quick back to the village.
Miller's face is contorted in pure terror, his arms flailing as he tries to keep up with the warriors. The chaotic and comedic nature of the scene is heightened by the over-the-top reactions of both Miller and the warriors. The group finally burst out of the forest, covered in mud and drenched from head to toe. Miller, panting and exhausted, collapsed in front of the chief's hut, begging for mercy.
Please, I can't do this anymore, Chief. No more forest. No more sacrifices. I'll take the reign over the pigs.
Miller, it seems the gods are playing with you.
Once again, Miller found himself in the middle of a dramatic encounter with forces beyond his control. The villagers now wonder at his misfortune, but deep down, Miller knew he had escaped something far worse than the rain. Another encounter with the mother wild pig. After another 2 long hours, the relentless rain finally ceased. The village, drenched but hopeful, gathered around the chief's hut. The chief, now curious and respectful of Miller's connection to his foreign god, asked him to teach them how to pray.
Miller, the rain has stopped. You must teach us how to pray to your God, the one who listens to you and responds with immediate effect.
All right, Chief. I'll teach you a prayer that my people pray to God. It's called the Lord's Prayer, and it goes like this.
Miller stands before the chief and the villagers, now respectful and eager to learn. The rain has stopped, and the sun peeks through the clouds, casting a warm glow over the scene. Villagers of all ages gather around in a circle, listening intently.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
The villagers bow their heads in reverence, mimicking Miller's posture as they try to absorb the meaning of the words. The scene is peaceful, with birds chirping and the rainwater glistening on the leaves. And so, in the heart of the Kikuyu village under the brightening sky, Miller shared the sacred words of his faith. The villagers, once suspicious, now embraced the new wisdom with open hearts. Having endured all trials, Miller had one more mission, one that could make or break his future in the village. With the entire village watching, Miller prepared to ask for Nyoki's hand in marriage. Miller stands nervously before the chief, Nyoki beside her father, radiant and curious. The village is gathered, awaiting what Miller will do next. The tension is palpable as Miller takes a deep breath.
Chief, since I am now one of your people, I would like to ask for something very precious.
And before anyone could react, Miller threw himself flat on his belly before the chief, arms stretched out, pleading with every ounce of sincerity.
I wish to ask for Njoki's hand in marriage.
The villagers, including the chief, elders, warriors, and Njoki, are completely shocked. Gasps ripple through the crowd as everyone watches in stunned silence. But before the chief could respond, The village madwoman Wanja appeared, eyes blazing with fury. She charged at Miller, jumped onto his back and began yelling hysterically.
How dare you? You promised to marry me. Now you are asking to wed another woman. Why?
Miller, still lying face down, is helpless under her weight, trying to twist and free himself.
No, I didn't, I swear. Please someone help me.
The village erupted in laughter as Miller struggled under the mad woman, rolling in the dirt while she clung to him like a vine. And just when it couldn't get any more ridiculous, the village drunk Kimani stumbled onto the scene, squinting at the commotion. Leaning on a stick, swaying slightly as he surveys the chaos, he hiccups and raises his hands in mock celebration, thinking another feast is about to begin.
Aye. Let's roast another bull and party. Come on, bring the drums, aye.
As the mad woman clung tighter to Miller's back, the warriors, unable to hold back their laughter, finally stepped in to restore order. Two warriors gently lift the mad woman off Miller's back while she kicks and yells. Another warrior escorts the drunk man away, shaking his head as the man waves to the crowd.
Let's go, my sister. There's no party here. Eh?
The mad woman was led away, still shouting about betrayal, while the villagers tried to contain their amusement. Miller, finally free, lay on the ground, exhausted and embarrassed. Miller, covered in dirt and panting as he looks up at Chief Mugo and Nyoki, trying to regain his composure. Nyoki watches him, half amused, half touched by his persistence.
Miller, you have proven your love for Njoki and entertained us all in the process. You are brave than I thought for a white man.
Chief Mugo looking down at Miller with an amused expression, while Njoki smiles warmly. The tension breaks as laughter bubbles up from the crowd again. The mood is now light-hearted and the villagers whisper and giggle at Miller's ordeal. Despite the chaos and embarrassment, Miller's devotion was clear for all to see. And though the path to love was strange and difficult, Nyoki knew he had earned her heart in his own awkward and brave way. Miller stands up, still shaky but smiling, as Nyoki walks over and helps him brush the dirt off. The villagers cheer and clap, enjoying every moment of the drama that had unfolded. Chief Mugo smiles knowingly, his approval unspoken yet understood. After enduring the trials, chaos, and humor of village life, Miller's heart swelled with joy. He had won Njoki's hand, and now nothing could stop him from celebrating his love and back to his original mission, spreading the gospel. Talk about hitting two birds with one stone. Miller, still dirty but ecstatic, jumps up and shouts for joy. He raises his hands to the sky, his voice booming across the village, startling the villagers.
Let us give thanks. I shall pray for blessings and for the rain.
But before he could finish, the warriors, remembering the previous downpour, nearly bolted, their eyes wide with panic.
No more rain, white man. No more rain. Eh?
The warriors halfway ready to sprint, fear in their eyes as they recalled the last storm. A senior elder steps forward, holding up his hand, motioning for calm.
Miller, keep your prayers for the next season. We've had enough rain. Just take your bride and let us celebrate.
And so the village prepared for the grand wedding. The entire Kikuyu community gathered, their hearts filled with joy, as Njoki and Miller prepared to be joined as one. The villagers joyfully presenting gifts to the couple, bracelets, necklaces, baskets of food, and even animals. The village chief stands proudly, overseeing the celebration with a content smile.
May your union, Miller and Njoki, Be as strong as the bones of our ancestors.
But just as things were going smoothly, the village drunk, Kimani, stumbled back into the scene, swaying and grinning.
Aye. Is the party back on? I thought I missed it.
Not to be outdone, the mad woman Wanya reappeared, still complaining loudly about the betrayal of her husband.
I want my husband back. He promised to marry me fast. This isn't fair.
The mad woman gesturing wildly, glaring at Miller, while the villagers laugh good-naturedly. Two warriors gently guide her away from the newlyweds, shaking their heads with amusement. The heart of the wedding celebration, where traditional Kikuyu dancers move in graceful with the sound of the drums, synchronized steps. Women adorned with colorful beads and intricate jewelry perform, while the men clap and cheer. Miller and Nyoki, now husband and wife, after jumping over a blessed broom placed on the ground by Chief Mugo and Council of Elders, join the dance, their hearts full of love and laughter. The whole village celebrates their union, a joyous testament to the power of love, tradition, and laughter. As the night grew late, the fire crackled and the sounds of laughter and music filled the air. Miller looked at Nyoki, knowing their journey together was only just beginning.
In a village so full of life, love, and laughter, I have learned that sometimes, the greatest journeys are those you never expected to take.
Finally, for love is the dance that no tradition can stop, the laughter that no hardship can silence, and the rain that no sky can hold back. Please join us in the next episode of this inspired animated journey of forbidden love.